Thank you for coming on here. I really appreciate you taking the time.
No worries.
Now, you've lived a lot of musical lives. You know, you were in a band, you're a solo artist, a producer, and a collaborator. But I want to know from you, which version of you would be the hardest to explain to the kid who first picked up a guitar in New York all those years ago?
Oh God, probably the one that makes music at 33,000 feet on a with a laptop.
Sure. You've carried
That kind
the
of stuff with like science fiction, you know?
Yeah, oh, definitely. You've carried Diesel for decades as a name, a brand, a character. When do you feel most like Mark and least like Diesel? Like, how do those two versions of you get along these days? What's the relationship like?
Yeah, I mean, I, I, it's a funny thing. I don't know if I ever feel like Diesel. It's really, it's been a very kind of functioning name for yeah, to put a handle on you need to have some kind of brand name for on the box of cereal. So that I realized that quite long ago. Yeah, I don't know. Like I've heard some people say when I put my suit on and the lights go down or whatever, I become that character. It's like, whoa, that sounds kind of like that sounds like some personality disorders going on there, buddy. No, I mean it's just kind of like no, I'm Mark all the time. So yeah, I mean, look, I think it's fun to kind of I suppose I don't know if cosplay is the right thing, but I almost kind of like laugh to myself sometimes because I just feel like getting on stage and I like getting out of my daily clothes and putting other clothes on and feeling like okay, this is like I'm ready to like to be in front of an audience. Yeah, it's kind of a bit like getting into some kind of yeah, some kind of sort of mindset, I think. But like yeah, I just want to give people. I know they've put effort to get out of the house, and so I want to look like and feel like to them that I've made some effort too. You know what I mean? Like, so that's part of the show is like just trying to be the best you can be. In front of people. It's that's kind of yeah. That's how I look at it. But punk goes against the whole aesthetic, and it's just like be as dirty and ragged as you can and spit at people. So I don't know. That's it's all like what people want, I suppose.
You've seen the industry shift from tapes and posters to now streams and For You pages up on
Yeah,
TikTok. So I'd love to know what's the one old school value you refuse to let go of, even if it makes absolutely no sense in 2026.
definitely. Human, the human grapevine, the human thing that happens when people go to something, share it, experience it, and then dissipate, and then go out into the community and talk to other people. They call that's the original viral. So I still think that is strong or as relevant or as tangible as anything. And we have all these other tools now, digital virility that can do things and everything. But watching things um, like I did the other night, for instance, when I went to my niece's gig, play here at the Gladstone Hotel in Sydney, and it was just really it was palpable, the kind of the the anticipation. It was tangible. It was just yeah. It was like wow. Um, I remember this, and I hadn't seen that for a while. It's not like I don't go to gigs. I do go to gigs, but seeing a band that's right at the very beginning of their trajectory and seeing a little crowd assembled that had all found out about it through socials and through targeted marketing. Yes, but they were there to see you know this artist who's just on the starting blocks, and it was just really really exciting. And I you just know that that's the kind of this that's the seating is still very much the same.
Human connection is still so prevalent. We need
Oh,
it.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So you know AI and holograms aside, is people just want to get amongst it and feel something. And I think the more we kind of like replicate that and kind of go, oh, look, we can do this with AI and blah blah blah, the more I think people are going to be just as a kind of a reaction to that, will be looking for human connection even more.
Absolutely.
Because we can be beguiled, as humans, we're easily beguiled by anything shiny and glittery, and it's like the baby looking up at the mobile up hanging above its their head, in a cot, and just going, oh wow, that's amazing, that's like the universe, it's so incredible. AI can sort of do that to us too, but we you know which I don't think is necessarily a bad thing, how we can easily kind of buy into something. And that's kind of how when people want to have a discussion about that, I I like to kind of point out that it's like, there's nothing wrong in kind of buying into some hype on something. um you know um it's what we do. But I guess at the end of it, it just sort of, it's a little bit like chewing gum. It loses its flavor. It's
Yeah.
just sort of, it's not like a good meal cooked with like olive oil, like amazing olive oil, or just like ginger or some really great, incredible flavors that are just so deep and potent. I don't know. That's the best analogy I can give today.
Yeah, no,
But
it's great.
that's how I look. That's kind of how I look at AI. It's like, ha, 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 yeah, we're easily entertained by it, but then it's like, yeah, but is that going to really sustain? Like in 3 years' time, you're going to be like, you know, flashbacking to it and just like digging on it again. I doubt it.
Yeah. Like dangling that carrot and we still go towards it every single time.
I mean, look, it's just we have the ability to buy into hype. That's all I know, and that's our wonderment. And I don't think we should ever lose that. I know I try to keep it on a daily basis. I that's my goal. Is like, as the older I get, I just want to keep that wonderment at everything. And just stay curious, because if you lose curiosity, you've kind of lost the zest for everything, really.
Yeah, totally. You've written songs that people now attach to breakups and weddings and funerals, whole
Yeah.
big milestones. But I'd love to know, what's the most surprising story a fan has told you about how a Diesel song soundtracked their life?
um, Yeah, I mean, nothing. It's usually like I got married to this, or, I experienced my first, kiss in a car, that kind of thing. Um, my mum used to put this on when she was feeling down. My dad used to like to sit in the room and have a beer and listen to this. I've heard all kinds of things like that.
Yeah.
I've heard that it's helped me through, op post-op kind of like recoveries. It's mostly, yeah. I haven't heard anyone like yet has, said I skydived out of a plane listening to the song or anything like
Yeah.
that.
Would be cool.
um, yeah, it would be cool. I'm sure probably someone has. But yeah, I mean, look, it's music is so, it's what people like. The soundtrack that they use it to is, it always fascinates me. I know people that are into kind of like either making things or art, or you know music is really really important to them. What they have on in their workshop or on their in their studio. So that would always be like a big compliment to me, for someone to come up and go, oh, I listen to you, blah blah blah, it's great music to like sculpt or paint to, or something like that. That would be like the ultimate compliment for me, and be like, oh wow, that's like creativity, you know borning more creativity, birthing more creativity.
Can you go to weddings without being asked to sing Come to Me? Like, do people look at you around the table going, surely he's going to belt out a tune, right?
um yeah, look, I went to a friend's wedding recently, and they were like, look, oh, you don't mind, but we're going to play one of your songs, Come to Me. And my like gut reaction was just like, oh God, I can't stand being in a crowd listening to my own song. And then I quickly remedied it by saying, you know what? I'm happy to sing it for you. Like, and they were just like, what? Are you kidding? And I'm like thinking in the back of my mind, I'm just like thinking, I'm actually doing this for myself, so I don't have to listen to myself in the crowd.
Mhm.
But then I thought, you know what? This is such a nice gift for me to give to them. Um, and they both were beautiful people and just very deserving. And I was like, it makes me happy that I can give the gift of that. And I have on many occasions, sadly, at a lot of funerals too of songs. It's just, I mean, I shouldn't laugh, but yeah, it's unfortunately it's another fact of life, and it's always a real honor to sing at a funeral. But you don't want to be known as the funeral singer. No one wants to be
Yeah.
known as that, do they?
Yeah. Just the wedding singer, right?
Hmm.
Yeah. That's it.
Yeah, that one.
You've been the new kid and the chart regular, but I'd love to know which version of the industry was the hardest to survive. Was it trying to break in, trying to stay on top, or learning to let go of expectations?
I think the latter. I would always say that. I mean, it's hard work, absolutely. Um, if you want to do it consistently good, it's hard work because you have to, kind of really you have to bring discipline in. It's a word that a lot of people are like, oh God, discipline. That
Yeah.
sounds terrible. But it's like, what other jobs can you like, you know, be kind of like in this mode of like it's a party every night? It's ridiculous. That's a ridiculous notion. So yes, I did kind of subscribe to that at the beginning because it was just, you know, it seemed like fun. And I was also very young. Um, I started in my teens. So thankfully by my early 20s, I'd kind of had a gutful of all of it, to be honest. When I say all of it, I mean it being the operative word for just all of, cliches, what a job like in the entertainment industry can offer. Um, and yeah, that's one thing that's hard. But I think success is surprisingly something that um, most people would think, what could there possibly be bad about success? It's good, right? Success?
Yeah.
Yes, it is, but you also have to survive it. No one tells you that. Um, as you're becoming successful and things are starting to like get clearly like progressed, like in ways that you never ever imagined. No one says, "Hey, we need to have a little talk about this success thing. Um, it's going to be great. You're going to have blah blah blah, but you're going to need to survive the success." Um, and you'd be like, "What? What do you mean?" And it's like mentally, when your record doesn't go to number one again, like
Yeah.
if it goes to number three, and you're going like, "Why is it only number three?" Things like that. It just like seem ridiculous. When you talk about them like that or put them on paper. But like you said, expectations and that kind of pressure, it's just it's unnatural, it's unreal in the true sense of the word. And yeah, there's no kind of manual. I mean, there might be a manual now, like as in some help, some really great self-help books that you can get.
Love
The
the for
self-help
dummies.
books are, I mean, there's just exactly rock
Yeah.
stardom for dummies.
There
But
you go.
there's just no one really. I mean, yeah, you hear all the stories about rehab, and you ending up with a therapist later and everything. But I mean, it's pretty unnatural, the whole thing. Um, so yeah, I'm quite proud of that. I think it was said I think it was a Rolling Stone album review, a couple of years ago. Blah 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 blah. He survived success. And I read it like five times and went, survive success? What is that? And then I thought about it. It's like, yeah, you're kind of right. You have to survive success
Got to pull through.
because it's the kind of the dichotomy, the irony of like it being something that's people pursue so hard, and then when you get it, you got to like survive it because it'll just ruin you.
I want to talk about your big hit, if you don't mind, Tip of My Tongue. It's been 34 years since it came out. I wasn't even born, but
Mad.
thanks to my
No, I know.
parents listening, they've passed it down to me. So now I'm growing up on your music. And now with covers and remixes are exploding across the Aussie
Yeah.
scene. You know, a lot of the songs we hear on radio nowadays are remixes from the past. So I'd love to know who's your dream pick to tackle Tip of My Tongue? Like, is there an artist you'd love to hear cover that song?
Well, look, I shouldn't kiss and tell, but I actually have had I'm not sure when this is coming out. It might maybe not make the release. I'm not sure, but
Okay.
3% have done a really, really cool version. That's all I can say, because it's like taking it to a different space.
Yeah.
And yeah, that I'm told that it's could be on the next album. So
Wow.
um,
That's massive.
other than that, there is a Mexican version sung in Spanish somewhere out there. I know that it was covered in Spanish
Yeah.
for the Mexican market.
That's cool.
I'd like to hear. Yeah, I wouldn't mind hearing more of it. Maybe even a countrified version of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, the 3% sort of with their stamp of their brand of hip hop is pretty cool.
Yeah. Sounds great. The Buy Request tour, I think, is genius, but also quite risky. So fans are handpicking the set list and they're pulling from your massive catalog. So I'd imagine you'd be going over all the albums right about now, just trying to remember all the songs and all the chords. And these nights, they sound like they'll be full of emotion and nostalgia for a lot of people. But what's the song you secretly hope someone calls out just so that you get to go on that ride again?
Moon River.
Yeah.
Moon River is a cover that I've put in my menu. I've got like a today's specials menu and a menu of my songs, and then there's another menu called Today's Specials, which is just covers that I love to do. And yeah, sometimes it's super popular in certain towns. And it's a song I just love to play. It puts me in a headspace every time. And funny enough, like my first interview that I ever did with a newspaper in WA when I was 14, I think I was, or 15. It was like a quick kind of like favorite food, favorite this, favorite
Yeah.
song at the end of the interview, and I said Moon River, and I remember my parents seeing it and going, Moon River, that's an old song. Like, what, you like that song? And I'm like, yeah, it's beautiful. It's got an amazing set of chords and it's just incredible imagery, and it's relatable in a way to me because I spend so many days and nights of my life kind of somewhere where, detached from my home. And it has this real, like, kind of a drifter type feel about it. Like the lyric is, you know,
Yeah.
just floating down the river of life kind of thing. So, yeah, I've done plenty of that.
You're performing this weekend at Blitz Golf. This isn't your usual concert venue. It's a golf course under the stars, which sounds pretty cool. I know when people come to see you live, they're chasing a feeling. For example, we spoke about nostalgia before. So when you're performing, what feeling are you chasing?
I'm chasing, like, I want that high, I want that adrenaline and kind of endorphin rush that is only like, yeah, there's a certain type of, like, I do a lot of like running and cycling and all kinds of things. I love jumping in the ocean. Yeah, but I mean, gigging on stage is like, I can only imagine what, skiing down, you know, a mountain when it's just powder and you've been dropped, heli skiing from the top of a mountain, or surfing some massive, you know, wave that is just like, could kill you at any second, but you're just having the most exhilarating ride of your life. You know, gigging outdoors is my version of that for me. I love the sensation of like the open air hitting my face. And yeah, I mean, playing indoors is great. I've done plenty of that in my life, but playing outdoors just feels like, I feel like it's like a treat every time. I feel like I've been like, like gifted something. It's like, oh, I'm outside. Finally, I get outdoors. And then it's like back inside. It's fantastic. It's just so good.
you've met heroes, you've mentored younger artists, and you've worked alongside peers. But I'd love to know what's one piece of advice you were given that you ignored at the time, but you later realized was absolutely right. That was exactly what you needed to hear in order to move forward.
I think my mum sort of used to say to me, and it was like, I don't know what you're talking about, mum, but yeah, okay, sure. And then I realized like more and more, but she said to me, probably before I even embarked on this crazy ride, I was just, dabbling, um, starting to play in little bands and stuff, and showing that I had intense interest in and doing music as a career. But she would say, always take time to like reflect. Take time to reflect. What does that mean? I don't know. Like, when you're at that age, you just like, you're not thinking about being meditative
Yeah.
and sitting and leaning into stuff,
Yeah. Just want to perform.
But yeah, you just get, it's like, where's the next party? Where's the next shindig? When's the next gig? When's the next, you just kind of, yeah. So you just want stimulation constantly. Well, I did. And yeah, I think it didn't take me, thankfully until I was a wise old sage or whatever to figure it out. But I remember it starting to resonate, and it kind of the penny dropped probably about, you know, second or third world tour,
Yeah.
and it's just like, oh wow, this is really freaking hard work actually. All these planes and oh, so tired, like compound tiredness and all that kind of thing. And yeah, you're trying to do all the right things and get the vitamins in your body and everything. And mentally it's like, yeah, it's really important to like just to like connect and connect the body to the head. Number one, because you can become like just a head, like with no body, just sort of cerebral and thinking and ruminating about way too much. And connecting your body with your head is number one. And then yeah, just reflecting on what what's going on and the priorities and what really is important, because you can get swept up. You really can get swept up.
You
So
know,
thanks, Mom.
absolutely. Great advice, Mum.
Yeah.
Mark, this has been an absolute honor to speak with you. I really
Thank
appreciate you
you.
taking the time and I wish you all the very best with Blitz Golf. Thanks again.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much.